Okay, well, we're just going to get started since Trustee Melendres should be here in a few minutes, and by the time we get through roll call and stuff, he'll hopefully be coming in. So we got here Thursday, July 8th, meeting of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District. Allison, can we do roll call, please? Here.
Here.
Trustee Foyt.
Present.
Trustee Waugh.
Present.
Trustee Ortiz.
Present.
Trustee Melendres is on his way. Trustee Raymaker.
Here.
Trustee Rogers.
Present.
Trustee Giron.
Here.
And we received a note from Trustee Turner Whiteley that she wasn't going to be able to attend this evening. And you have a quorum, Chair Wilson.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any public comment at this time, Allison?
No public comment at this time.
If anybody would like to submit public comment or sign up before the end of the meeting, or email it into boardcomments@lvccld.org, we will again have a public comment opportunity at the end of tonight's meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda, Mr. Chair.
All in favor?
Second.
I'll second. Oh, you said second. Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to item 4, approval of minutes. I know we just got some here last minute. We're gonna actually bump the order around here. So if anybody needs a few more minutes to read them, we're gonna jump what was the item number? Item 7. We wanted to jump up ahead and get our report from the final report from the Griffith Company on the legislative business. That you want to take care of now, right? No, Director?
Nope.
Just get this out of the way?
Yep.
Okay.
There she is.
Oh, there we are.
Yes, Chelsea Capurro
Thank you.
is.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Sounds great. Good evening. Thanks, everyone. Just wanted to take a second to check in and give a little follow-up. Obviously, I know we've chatted and got to talk a little bit about our bill, which passed successfully and was signed by the governor. But I just want to take a little bit of time to talk about the interim, what comes next, and what we can kind of expect. So did just want to throw some things out there and just make sure everyone was aware. This interim, we have obviously a few things that could possibly be on the agenda. One thing I did want to note is that they were not able to do redistricting, so we will most likely have to do that in a special session. So be prepared for a special session. Normally they try to get that done during a regular session. It does not always happen. And then given the delay of getting the census data from COVID, we're going to have to do that in a special session. We're hearing end of summer, early fall. And then another big thing that the library district should just be aware of and watch, as I know you are, but on the state level side, we'll obviously be getting a huge amount of federal funds coming in from the American Rescue Plan. Some of that I think they'll probably be able to do in the interim finance committee, but perhaps be prepared that some of those items and ways to spend some money there could possibly show up on a special session as well. So just wanted to make sure that was, I let you guys know about that. And then finally, normally the process of interim, they still meet, legislators still meet, there's still committee hearings, but they're a little bit different. They're not structured the same way that they are during a regular session. But there was a bill that passed that changes that up a little bit and basically mirrors what you see in a regular session in an interim as well. So, for example, all of the committees that meet in a regular legislative session will also start to begin to meet in the interim. We're not quite sure what that'll look like. I wouldn't anticipate any meetings until fall. That's usually when we start seeing that those interim committees meet, but just wanted to throw that out there as well. It's a little bit different of an interim than what we've seen. So just wanted to make sure I was letting you guys know about that. And then I'm here and available if there's any questions, concerns, comments. We love getting to represent you guys this session and look forward to continue to work with you through the interim.
Chair Wilson, if I might interrupt for just a minute to note the presence of Trustee Melendrez, who arrived during Ms. Capuro's presentation.
Awesome. Welcome, Trustee Melendrez. Thank you for the presentation. Again, thank you for the great work and the updates throughout the session. Does anyone, any board have any questions at this time? And just waiting on the phone. It looks like we're all good. Okay, thank you then. This was
All
just a
right.
report only, and thank you very much.
Thanks,
And
everyone.
we look forward to the next time we have to do this.
Yep, me too.
Minutes, I know we just all got them. Does everybody want to save the minutes and move them to the end, have some time to look through them while we're moving on with other things? Okay, we'll move the minutes down to the end. Where were we here? And we could at this time, Allison, let's move on to item V, Chair's report. Item five, do we have what we need there?
Yes, if you all want to come down.
So we have a little quick presentation for our chair, former chair, Felipe. Or would you like me to? I was just going to hand it off. Thank you. Okay, tonight we'd like to honor Felipe Ortiz for his service as chair of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District Board of Trustees from July 2019 until June of this year. In his time as chair, the library district went through one of the most disruptive times in history, the COVID-19 pandemic. Chair Ortiz successfully led the board through adjustments to operating hours, budgets, union agreements, implementation of a voluntary employee separation program, and other cost-saving measures that allowed the district to stay strong, and more importantly, to reopen months ahead of any other districts in the country. Under these unprecedented conditions, maintain the highest standards for health and safety for both the staff and our customers coming in. As chair, he led the successful search for our current human resources director and also for our current executive director. Chair Ortiz has always made himself available to serve the organization. He was a keynote speaker at the Career Online High School graduation. He serves on the board of the East Las Vegas QAL-ICB and the Library District Foundation. He's been an effective community advocate for leveraging and promoting library district assets and partnerships. Today, we'd like to present Chair Ortiz with a small token of our appreciation for service as board chair for the past 2 years. And I'd just like to say that I only hope to do as well as you did in my time as chair, because you set a high bar to follow. Thank you. Oh, you don't like the paper? Just a couple more quick things. Jerry, do the appointments, can they be made anytime before the next meeting, or do they have to be made actually at the meeting?
You can make them
Anytime, right?
yes.
Okay. We need to fill the boards and committees for this year, so they're in your packet. If there's any that you're interested in, please email me, let me know. If there's any you don't want to be on, also email and tell me that as well, because by the time we meet again, I'm just going to appoint people, and so speak up or you get what you get. And now let's go on to item 5C from Trustee Foyt, her report on the ALA virtual meeting for the year.
Elizabeth, did you want to add anything to your written report?
I would just like to say that I appreciated being able to participate, although unfortunately it was not in person, and that I am looking forward to going to the PLA, which is the Public Library Association conference in the spring. I think it's important to do that. I have not been able to attend that previously during my first term. I think it will be a significant event because of the delayed and much postponed and online, composition of such events. So, as I said, I'm looking forward to it. But again, thank you everyone for your support in me attending virtually for this conference that finished just recently. Thank you.
And thank you, Elizabeth. If anybody has any discussion or questions, I don't think so on the committee appointments, or otherwise we're moving on. Library reports, item 6. If anybody has any reports they'd like to call forward at this time. Okay, seeing none, I just have 2 quick things that I wanted to just ask on. Nobody needs to really come up. This is just more of a quick comment for next round. Mr. Segura, if you could, on future versions, pointing at the monthly statistics, 100% circulation increase for May, obviously over last year when we were closed. I'm just curious what the actual increase was over 2019 when we were open. Just for the future months, please try whenever we have the data to reference the previous year, the 2019 year, so we have some basis to see when we're back on track to where we were pre-pandemic.
Mr. Chairman, through you.
Yes.
I do have a question for the director.
Yes, Chair Ortiz. I'm so used to calling you Chair Ortiz for 2 years. Yes, Trustee Ortiz.
Thank you, Chair Wilson, through you. Director Watson, is the library staff and are the library staffed at 100% and working at 100%? All of them? Outline,
You mean fully,
operational, everybody's back to work, nobody's,
everybody's back to work as far as I know. We still have some open positions.
right, no, not talking about that, just past COVID.
As far as I'm aware, everybody is back and all libraries are fully operational. We still are, we're at 100% open to the public.
Okay, and then just as a reminder, I did ask a couple minutes ago, in about 6 months, if we can get a assessment on our post-pandemic.
Actually, that assessment was completed by our CFO. I just didn't include it in this
No problem, thank you.
meeting, but it's already done and it'll be made available to the board at our next meeting.
Very good, thank you very much.
I just wanted to comment. I just got back from San Diego, and this past weekend was the first time they had in-person services. Shows how far ahead of it we were.
I also want to point out, there's one thing I wanted to point out too that I noticed on the branding report, that Summer Challenge email news blast had a 21.8% open rate. For anybody who knows email marketing, that's unheard of. You just don't get a 21% open rate. So the subject matter must be good, the list must be good to get that kind of open rate. What I'd like to see, if possible, is us to track with that unsubscribe rates. I'd like to know how often and how much of the list we're losing when we send.
And Mr. Chair, on that, I get it sent to 2 email addresses and I do my part by opening both.
Oh, well, thank you.
Great.
And if I could, Matt McNally, I do have one question for you that I wanted to ask on your report. He's back there somewhere. On last year's fiscal 2021 career online high school graduates, there were 29. The program since inception in 4 years had a total of 70 graduates. So last year we had 40% of the entire program's graduates. What was the contributing factor to the huge bump compared to previous years?
Anything that, good evening, for the record, Matt McNally, Community Engagement Director. Anything that I could provide you this evening would be purely anecdotal. I believe that there's a lot of individuals who are trying to get their education, trying to get back into the workforce, trying to use our library services. But to give you anything of hard statistic data, I would need to circle back with our literacy services manager and brief our executive director, and I'd be happy to provide.
Okay, I was just curious if there was any special program or promotion or advertising that was done during the pandemic, because that's just a significant 1-year jump. So it caught my attention and stood out off the page. So
sure, it is a core service of our literacy services department. I know we've worked with our branding and marketing department to put that information out there to the public and let them know what resources are available. That may be a contributing factor.
thank you, appreciate it. That's all I had. If anybody else have any other questions? If
Thank
not,
you. Just for clarification, would you like any additional follow-up beyond that?
no, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Then if hearing no other questions, I'll accept a motion to accept the reports.
I'll move to accept the reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. And unfinished business is done. And have everybody had a chance to look over the minutes that we were presented? Knock those out of the way before we move on to new business. Please forgive me, Jerry, I should know this, but after 2 years, can we take them all at once?
As long as there's no additions or corrections, yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments, additions, or corrections to the minutes that need to be made? Okay, hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes for item 4A, B, C, and D.
So moved.
Second, Jose.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. Unanimous. And new business. Item 8, okay. Item 8A, discussion and possible board action to approve a revision to the district circulation policy.
Chair Wilson, Director Watson, Board of Trustees, Leo Segura, Library Operations Director for the record. The Board of Trustees adopted the circulation policy on March 22nd, 1995, and several revisions have been made over the years, including 1996, 2002, 2007, 2011, and 2015. Most public libraries in the country have adopted circulation policies to register users who are permitted to borrow items to help ensure that patrons receive consistent and equitable access to products and services, and to assure that borrowed materials would be returned in a timely way. To ensure that patrons have clear expectations of their right as card holders. In response to COVID-19, LVCCLD adopted an e-card with an online application that included patron authentication. This type of card has proven invaluable for both our patrons and for our staff, And we are proposing that we officially adopt the instant e-card and at the same time remove additional barriers to access while clarifying borrower guidelines and extend the card renewal process. During the process of developing the proposed version, staff evaluated circulation policies of similar sized public libraries nationally, as well as considered the district's Playbook 2026 strategic initiatives. Major changes to the types include changes to the types of cards available, including the addition of the instant e-card, lengthening expiration dates, removing many barriers to access in the requirements to apply section. The revisions also include clarification of rules on cardholder responsibilities, use of materials, fines and fees, notices, loss of privileges, and interlibrary loan. In addition, we moved the fines and fee schedule to the staff borrowing guidelines. This streamlines the process so that we don't have to come to the board to make changes every time we have replacement cost adjustments. The current circulation policy is attached and proposed changes listed in red. Clean draft copy is available. Staff would like to recommend that the board consider the proposed revisions to the circulation policy to address the e-card and to remove barriers to access. And we would actually like this as July 14th, not the 15th, which is stated on the document. So July 14th, please.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I did have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Segura, how do you address issues when a North Las Vegas or Henderson Library card user comes to the Las Vegas Clark County Library District and doesn't return an item? I guess the question is, do we get help from the other districts to get our material back?
Thank you for the question, but we do have a reciprocating agreement with both North Las Vegas and Boulder City. We collect fines for them. We return them at the end of the year. If they don't check out a material, if they check out materials that don't get returned, they're under the same policies and procedures that we implement with our own patrons. And similarly, we borrow items from North Las Vegas and we go by their borrowing rules when we borrow items from them.
And as a follow-up question, do they have this close or similar policy as ours? Both districts, Henderson and North Las Vegas?
They do have similar circulation policies. Our library, Suka Anderson, our access service manager has been in negotiations with them to get them to agree to the 5-year renewal process, same as ours will be.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Any other questions? Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the proposed revisions to the circulation policy to address the e-card and to remove barriers to access effective on July 14th, 2021.
I'll second Raymaker.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that's unanimous. And moving on, item 8B, discussion and possible board action to approve a revision to the district's collection development policy, last revised and adopted on November 14th, 2002.
Good evening, trustees. Al Prendergast, Chief Information Officer for the record, and I'm accompanied by Head of Collection and Bibliographic Services, Rebecca Colbert, and Rebecca is responsible for the Collection and Development Department. All right, the current collection development policy was last revised in 2002, and it needs to be updated to reflect current standards regarding the selection of material, access, and the purpose of the district's collection. The collection development policy is one of the fundamental policies of any public library. Just as a circulation policy determines who may check out materials and for how long, the collection development policy defines the overall purpose of the library's collection and what materials will be acquired. The policy reflects the core mission of the library district, which is to support the pursuit of lifelong learning through responsive collections and digital resources. The policy outlines how collection development fulfills the district's goals through the selection criteria. Finally, the policy affirms the principles of intellectual freedom and the district's commitment to diverse and accessible content. The scope of the collection has changed since 2002, which is the last time this policy was revised. Digital resources includes including ebooks, e-audiobooks, and streaming music and video are now a major focus of our collection. Our commitment to resources that inform and entertain is unwavering, and the formats through which our mission is fulfilled have greatly expanded in the last decade. In addition to digital resources, the collection now includes non-traditional items such as STEAM material, toys, and video games. The Collection Development Department is committed to acquiring quality materials in multiple formats and making sure that the public has access to a wide variety of popular and informative titles in the greatest quantities and widest formats available. The adoption of this policy collection development policy is a significant step towards ensuring that the district is serving the needs of the community and demonstrating the commitment of the library district to a robust and relevant materials collection. The major changes in this policy includes removal of the special considerations for electronic information sources section, removal of the labeling and weeding sections, and incorporating those pieces of information into other areas of the document, removal of the ALA statement on labeling, and the addition of the ALA diverse collection statement. And we'd be happy to try and answer any questions you may have.
Do any of these policy changes have any effect on our day-to-day operations, or is this mostly housekeeping just to get paperwork up to speed with what we're doing already?
For the record, Rebecca Colbert, Head of Collections and Bibliographic Services. Both. Mostly it is housekeeping. It had been very outdated, had not revisited since 2002. The time that we refer to the policy most often is when a patron submits a request for reconsideration. And when we respond to those requests, often we will quote the policy. And so clearly we want an up-to-date relevant policy. And some of the ALA documents that we have in the appendix have been updated since the last time we adopted it. So it's mostly housekeeping, but there is a definite reason to have a current relevant policy.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Chair Wilson.
Yes.
So I'm not sure, I'm curious as to when we have donations of books, and especially those that look like they've been read one time, when people donate them, do any of them go into our circulation, or do they all go out on the market for resale?
We do incorporate, if they are current, particularly say we had a long waiting list and a patron went to Costco and purchased the book and brought it to us. We do incorporate those hot titles into the collection. If we don't already own the material, a book donation has to meet the same selection requirements that it would if we purchased the book. We're adding the material to the collection, whether or not we bought it or it was gifted to us. So for that reason, many donations are not added, but we do take a portion of the hot titles and add them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Raymaker.
Mr. Chairman, through you.
Yes.
Actually, the question is for the director. How does this policy fit with your direction in the purchasing of the books? Sometimes books are purchased and nobody reads them. So then now does this policy help or hurt that portion of, in other words, did they talk to each other when this policy was created? And I guess the better question is is this group in charge of the purchasing of the books? Selection of books is a better word.
So as far as the collection, so Rebecca and her team are monitoring the collection. And so in regards to if something is circulating or not, that is something that would be monitored by the Collection Development Department. So the policy itself is somewhat separate from the management of the collection. So this is more about what we buy and why we buy it and how we do it. Monitoring the circulation is also something that Rebecca is responsible for as well as taking any suggestions from the public or monitoring what it is that we might be interlibrary loaning or borrowing. So So this is again, a separate piece, but the collection development department is responsible for both of monitoring as well as ensuring that we have the right materials in our collection on the shelf. And if something isn't circulating, that we are also removing that material as well.
Thank you very much.
And if I may add to that, Director Watson, we have a distribution center manager who manages the distribution center and the maintenance of the collection. So they manage, and you'll see in my report that you'll see that there are a lot of statistics in there about how many titles we have, how many items we have, how many circulate, how many were withdrawn from the collection, and things like that. So we have a distribution center manager who actually manages the collection and looks at things that don't circulate that should be pulled from the collection.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the revised collection development policy as presented.
I'll second Raymaker.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, unanimous. Moving on to item 8C. Let's see. Discussion and possible board action to approve a joinder with Clark County for the purchase of general office supplies from Staples.
Good evening, trustees, Director Watson, Council Welt. Funds are allocated in the general fund to purchase general office supplies for the district. Nevada statutes and board policy requires that a request for bids be advertised for purchases exceeding $75,000 within a fiscal year. In lieu of advertising a request for bids, the district may, in accordance with NRS 332.195, use a previously bid contract for a government entity with authorization of the contracting vendor. Clark County has in place a contract for general office supplies from Staples. The contract offers discounts and requires no minimum purchase. The contract is in its third renewal year and will be effective through June 30th, 2022, and has one further renewal year. Staples has authorized our use of the contract, for the county contract. The district has previously joined onto the Clark County's contract with Staples. Staff is requesting authorization to utilize Clark County's contract with Staples for the purchase of general office supplies. And I'll be happy to answer any questions on the contract.
I remember this from previous years, and the way I understand it is we just get a whole much better deal by bulking in with the county than we could ever do on our own.
Correct.
Okay, well, hey, I like to save money. Anyone have any questions? No.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to authorize staff to utilize Clark County's contract with Staples for the purchase and direct delivery of general office supplies, and to authorize staff to extend the contract for the remaining one-year renewal, subject to funding being available and the vendor continuing to meet specifications as outlined in the contract documents.
I'll second Sandra Raymaker.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 8D, discussion and possible board action to declare fines and fees of approximately $1,624,345.64 that are 5 years old, dating from the year 2016 as uncollectible and purged from district records.
Good evening again, trustees. Al Prendergast, Chief Information Officer for the record. And with me, I have Access Services Manager Sufa Anderson, and Mrs. Anderson manages our library services platform and is responsible for all the reporting. So she has in-depth knowledge of the data. And so if there are any questions about that, she can answer. In 2000, the Board of Trustees authorized staff to contract with Unique Management Services to pursue the collection of delinquent fines and fees owed to the district. Collection agencies have advised that debts older than 5 years are unlikely to be recovered. So in 2004, the board authorized staff to declare fines and fees that were 5 years old, dating back to 1999, as uncollectible and to purge these from our records. Additionally, staff recommended that delinquent fines and fees that are older than 5 years be reported to the board each year for the purpose of being declared as uncollectible. Over the past 21 years since contracting with collection agencies, the district has recovered over $12 million in items and over $7.7 million in fines and fees. There are currently 25,368 outstanding accounts from 2016, with $1,624,345.64 in outstanding fines and fees. Numerous attempts have been made to collect these debts over the years, and given the age of the debt and the transient nature of the district's population, it is unlikely that the district will collect a significant portion of this debt. Staff recommends that the board declare fines and fees that are older than 5 years as uncollectible. By clearing these fines and fees from the district, we will be able to purge these inactive patrons and delete these items from our database. Thank you, and we'd be happy to try and answer any questions.
Any questions? Trustee Rogers.
And this is not necessarily related to the writing off the debt, but it's more so just curiosity. What happens with the individuals who had these debts once they're cleared off the books? Are they in good standing again to get a library card? Slate is clean for them?
Excellent question. Sufa Anderson, Access Services Manager for the record. For the most part, they're entirely purged from the system. We've attempted to contact them over the last 5 years and had no success. The collection agency has attempted to contact them. Again, no success. So once the account goes to a zero balance, we remove it out of the system completely. There are on occasion individuals who will come back to the library, but those are very few and far between.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to declare fines and fees of approximately $1,624,345.64 as uncollectible dating from the year 2016 and authorize staff to purge from district records.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Item carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 8E, discussion and possible board action to appoint the East Las Vegas QALICB Inc. Board of Directors.
Good evening, Chair Wilson and Board of Trustees. My name is Danielle Milam, Development and Planning Director. In July 2017, the Library District entered into a New Market Tax Credit project. And as part of that project, we established an independent nonprofit, the East Las Vegas Qualic B Inc. And per the Articles of Incorporation for that nonprofit, we annually appoint a slate of directors and officers, 2 of which are not officers, directors, trustees, or employees of the Library District or Library Foundation, and 3 of which are nominees who are current or former employees, officers, or trustees of the Library District or Library District Foundation. The slate of officers and directors for FY 21-22 are as follows: Kelvin Watson, President; Kiva Career, Secretary Treasurer; and Directors Senator Mo Dennis, Felipe Ortiz, and Michael Saunders. Oh, any questions?
I just out of curiosity, how, because I know you also have one of these from Mesquite, how do you determine who your slate's going to be?
Who the selection is?
Who the, I mean, obviously, you know, Calvin, but just out of curiosity.
Right. We just, as these were formed, we just created the slate and it was approved. And then as the years go by, for example, Fred moved off, so Floresta moved on. And then today we had sort of substituted Kelvin for Floresta. So it's a 7-year project. They meet about twice a year, and so it's not a big selection process, actually.
So just to clarify, this is basically the same list you started with, except substituting out the director and CFO.
Correct.
That have changed since the start of it.
Correct.
Simple enough. Seeing any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to appoint the slate of officers and directors detailed above to the East Las Vegas Qualic B Incorporated.
I'll second. Trustee Raymaker.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Okay, that unanimously carries. Moving on to item 8F. Discussion and possible board action to approve the district's playbook 2026 strategic plan.
Good evening, trustees. Kelvin Watson for the record, Executive Director. So at the June 25th, 2021 Board of Trustee meeting and retreat, I presented a proposed playbook 2025 strategic plan, and it was followed by individual administrative team presentations on their individual department plays in support of the strategic plan. So the strategic playbook is the work that's going to be done cross-organizational. The staff began this work in 2019. We reviewed and recommended revisions and additions to the previous Vision 2020 strategic plan based on pre- and post-pandemic service area demographics, community conditions, public library industry evolution, and global trends and forces both shaping and disrupting library district business. So what I've added, as I mentioned during the retreat, was reshaped and redirected the team's work to identify critical plays to activate more inclusive, responsive library district service strategies that included powerful people, powerful places, powerful partnerships, and powerful platforms. These are the ideas that make up the Playbook 2026, being very versatile and adaptive. Playbook 2026 is an inclusive and innovative strategic plan and a strategic planning process that invites involvement and engagement with all staff throughout the organization, as well as alignment with community stakeholders, partners, and leaders such as yourself. Over the next year, the Playbook 2026 will be presented to a wide variety of community groups and audiences. It will be assessed, reviewed, and improved on an annual basis with you to ensure maximum mobilization of library district assets and to tell the powerful stories and powerful position that the library district plays as an agent of educational, economic, and social well-being of individuals and communities in Southern Nevada. So tonight I'm asking that you approve and adopt the Strategic Playbook 2026.
Director, just for the record, are there any major changes to this from what we were shown at the board retreat a couple weeks ago?
There is none, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the director or anyone else on the strategic plan?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I just want to make a comment in the motion. First of all, the district's playbook 2020 strategic plan was well vetted at the meeting, where I believe almost everybody was present. A lot of questions were asked. The direction was clear. The goals were clear. The needs were clear. And so it was well designed, of course, through the executive director and the staff. And so I'm in full support of that. Now we have something in writing where we move forward to do all the things that we're tasked with doing for the library district. Having said that, if there's no other comments, I'd like to make the motion.
Go ahead with the motion. I don't see any other comments. Go ahead, Trustee Ortiz.
All right. Mr. Chair, through you, I'd like the motion to approve the district's playbook 2026 strategic plan as presented.
I'll second that, Trustee Raymaker.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that item carries. Moving on to item 8F. I'm sorry, we just did that. You got 8G. Discussion and possible board action regarding approval of the district's 2021-2022 Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Action Plan.
For the record, Jeffrey Serpico, Director of Human Resources. Good evening, Chair Wilson, Director Watson, trustees. In January of 2019, 11 LVCCLD team members were chosen to serve on a new Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Committee. It was slightly different name at that time. It's evolved a little bit over the last couple of years. And they were charged with creating and implementing a new DEIA action plan to replace and update the 2013-2014 Diversity Action Plan. I wanted to show you a couple slides really quick of the committee and the roles that committee played in putting this plan together. If you remember, this was one of our strategic goals we discussed at our last meeting, to introduce a new diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility plan and to implement that. That was our play. The committee consists of Chantel Clark from Library Operations, Scott Clonan from Library Operations, Keely Walker from Human Resources, London Porter from Human Resources, Anna Allred from Community Engagement, Lanika Coleman from Library Operations, Blanca Azucena from Library Operations, Matt McNally from our administrative team, and myself, Jeff Serpico. The role of the committee, as we defined as we went along, it had been 6 years since the previous plan, to promote DEIA awareness, identify diversity barriers, opportunities, and impact on productivity, customer service, training, recruitment, retention, and district policies, make DEIA recommendation to senior leaders and the Board of Trustees, create and customize DEIA communications to deliver organization-wide, and act as a DEI organizational champions to promote the LVCCLD as the employer, public employer of choice, which we discussed in our previous meeting. Some of our guiding principles that we operated on, and these are all included in our plan, the main body of the plan, diversity to recognize, value, and embrace individual collective differences of our team members and communities. Equity to understand the needs and natural differences of each individual and remove barriers to enhance positive outcomes. Inclusion to create environments for everyone to feel welcome to be their authentic self by bringing traditionally underrepresented individuals and/or groups into processes, activities, and decision-making in a way that ensures equal access to opportunities and resources. And then accessibility to proactively making district resources and services available to all the Las Vegas, Clark County Library District community members. You'll see, just to refresh your memory a little bit, these are some of our key reporting tools that we went through at the last meeting, the HR dashboard and then the diversity dashboard, which was set up to assist in some of the tracking of some of the items. The final draft of the new diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility action plan was presented to Director Watson in May of this year with the key 5 goals for this year of developing and implementing the plan, which is the first goal, conducting a DEIA survey district-wide to get a feel of the pulse of our internal folks and how they feel about these issues. Performing a policy audit, increasing diversity-related recruitment and outreach initiatives, and 5, creating a DEI resource page on the Voyager. Each of these goals you'll see in the additional documents provided has a set of objectives for this year, which we'll measure ourselves by whether we achieve those objectives. You'll see several of the objectives. They include things such as outreach to the Hispanic community in terms of education and roles at the library for different roles besides librarians, paraprofessionals, and some of the other roles in conducting the survey. Those are detailed. And that's how the committee and HR, we will measure our success. And the staff is recommending the board approval of this 2021-22 DEIA plan. Any questions?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Shiverko. Do you have something, Director? No?
I'm just getting ready.
Okay. Just a couple things just to get them on the record. We have a really wide range, very diverse community in Las Vegas here. I think that's very important that that's reflected in the government agencies that we're all paying for and contributing to. So I like that. One thing I did want to just make sure I'm reading this right. I see that on goal 4, we're looking to specifically target Latinx community for recruiting and hiring. Am I correct in assuming that is because looking at our ethnicity dashboard, they're about 9% underrepresented in the district currently relative to the Valley population?
That is correct. And when we did run that data at I believe we put that out in August, began the dashboard with a go live of January. And you'll see that the reds, I believe, represent a variance of greater than 5%. And the Hispanic community is underrepresented in all of those categories, which drove the development of that goal. Yes, you're correct.
Secondary is a question. I see that variance on male to female is pretty high too. Is that just a nature of libraries or is that a recruiting thing as well?
I believe it's the nature of libraries. I can tell you it's the nature of healthcare. Is a very similar situation. My understanding and looking at that and the questions I have asked the previous director, Fred James, was that yes, it's just a historical thing where right now a lot of the profession is female. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Serpico. Do any of my fellow trustees have any questions? Trustee Rogers.
This question is, does this action plan also extend to procurement?
To
procurement, will we go out to bid? Are we looking for diversity in awarding contracts as well?
Trustee Rogers, as you may recall from the retreat, when Director John Vino gave his one of his plays, he specifically called out the adding in procurement more diverse opportunities for those business owners. So there is a plan that John has that not necessarily coupled with the diversity, equity, inclusion plan, but it's part of the overall objectives of the organization. So,
just one other comment, John Vito, for the record. It's built into our purchasing policy. Sorry. It is built into our purchasing policy as well. So if we're going out for a certain number of bids, we have to make sure we have emerging small businesses or minority businesses or disadvantaged businesses. So including to just reaching out and working on it as part of the plan, it is also built into our purchasing policy. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment, and then if there's nothing else, I'll make a motion. I just want to put on the record and thank Director Watson and Director Serpico. Obviously, the outlying branches, since those are county branches. I'm excited that accessibility is a part of it to make sure that the same great services people are able to get here in town in the Valley, they're able to get outlying branches as well. So I'm excited to see that. And then I'll make a motion. If there's nothing else, Mr. Chair.
I see no other questions, so.
So I'll move to adopt the final Las Vegas Clark County Library District 2021-2022 Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Action Plan, subject to any modifications as directed by the Board of Trustees.
Second.
Okay, second by Trustee Rogers. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
And item 9, announcements. The August 12th regular board meeting will be canceled. Director Watson and I are taking our wives and we're going surfing. Sorry. In all seriousness,
the invite for the rest of us.
The next board meeting will be held Thursday, September 9th at 6 p.m. in the East Las Vegas Library on East Bonanza. And what else am I missing, if anything, here? Anyone have any other comments, announcements, etc.?
Mr. Chair, I will be out of town on that day, so if you could excuse me for that day, September 9th.
Oh, Trustee Ortiz is excused.
I just want to express to Allison my disappointment. It's my birthday tomorrow and I don't see a cake anywhere. But
I second his disappointment and lack of cake.
But thank you for everything you do. And just to Chair Ortiz, thank you for your service for the last couple of years. And Chair Wilson, good luck and congratulations and great first meeting.
Mr. Chair, one more comment. First of all, thank you to the entire Board of Trustees today, and then those that have left us, not died, but left the Board of Trustees. Nothing can be done unless you get support from the trustees. And it was part of their vision, the way they saw things, that we all together accomplished a lot of things. And I'll say it one last time. 2 new libraries, 0 debt. Made it through the pandemic with, again, 0 debt and not having to fire employees, pay employees for 4 months while they're at home. I think each one of you should be commended, those of you that are here today and those that have stepped off the board. So it was a good run. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, all the trustees, for their support, and and of course the staff, who we really tasked with doing a lot of work in a short period of time. We did have a pandemic playbook, and but it didn't really meet this pandemic. But I think we'll be better prepared each time, unless it's totally different. Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, trustees.
And thank you again, Trustee Ortiz. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with me as I stumbled to my first meeting. Trustee Rogers?
I just had a comment.
Yes.
Just wanted to, on behalf of the Rogers clan, I wanted to just thank the library family for all of your condolences, the card, flowers, text messages, and prayers. It was very comforting to the family as we were dealing with the loss of our father. So just thank you on behalf of our clan.
And then one final note, I just want to extend to our CFO continued prayers and wishes for his quick recovery to get back to us. And I hear that he's doing well and recovering well, and that's exciting and good news to hear. And I just hope he rests up and we see him back here, his old, happy, cheerful self soon. Allison, do we have any public comment?
Actually, Chair Wilson.
Oh, yes, Trustee Raymaker.
That's okay. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Leo Sigornia for supporting Judith Sargent and I out here in Mesquite to carry part of our back to school supply in our library here during this time. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Trustee Raymaker. And Allison, I'm sorry, was there public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, and hearing no public comment, this meeting is adjourned.